There's just 3 days left in the month before Jose Chili DeCastro's Promise board game is due to be released. Will he meet his April deadline? Or will he be too busy on his tour on the United States? Plus, will he ever respond to the motions to dismiss in his Nevada-based Ironton, Ohio lawsuit? Scammer Floyd Wallace is on the road, but was stopped because his car broke down again and he needed more of your money for repairs. Did he get it? Plus, it's always Lane Myers. Multiple stories on his childish rants after being denied in court. Do you support the manchild in his fight against Pima County, Arizona? Good afternoon, and welcome to another combined edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast, brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm AI Johnny Jones, and this is another Lane Myers night. I know, Lane Myers doesn't put butts in seats and doesn't have a huge following, but we're overloaded with Lane news as he simply won't shut up about anything. Plus, since he's threatened to sue us, we'll just let him rant as we ask you to focus on. The Lane Myers experience suffered another blow on Wednesday, as the judge in his no bond hearing found sufficient evidence to keep the YouTuber, activist, patriot, and comedy legend in jail for picking up new felony charges while on release from a previous set of charges. At the start of the hearing, it was announced by Myers' attorney, William Parvin, that he had spoken with Myers and Myers would not be testifying in his own defense during the hearing. Parvin, whom Myers had previously threatened to fire, sue, and disbar on his Tuesday reaction livestream from jail, vigorously defended his client in the argument portion of the hearing before the judge left to review video evidence. There was a delay of roughly 45 minutes as the judge went to view the evidence and couldn't find a computer with a CD player. Instead, she watched the video evidence provided by the prosecutor in video format with both the defense and prosecution present. After watching the videos, she ruled that Myers violated the no-contact rule with at least one of the two videos presented, as he silently displayed the victim's name and contact information on screen and lingered on it, then quickly scrolled through the information of her colleagues. In his post-trial livestream on Josh Gray's This Is a Public Service channel, Myers berated the judge, prosecutor Rachel Stiles, and his victim, Shannon Walker. Myers made a number of insults directed at Stiles' presence in the courtroom and made his distaste for Pima County attorney Laura Conover known as he discussed her rotten reproductive organs. Gray let the name Shannon slip, which Myers corrected as she-devil, and showed Myers the oath Walker supposedly took when she took a job at Arizona State University. Gray justified the searches to back the classification of Walker as a state actor. Gray also alluded to Walker violating her oath. Myers ordered Gray to take the portion of Tuesday's hearing where Pima County Police Detective Eric Brown testified and release it as a YouTube video accusing the detective of perjury. He also directed Gray to contact Charlie Kirk of the Turning Point USA political organization for help fighting the charges. On the subject of Christopher Direct D. Ruff, Myers promised swift retribution to someone he accused of following his wife out of the courtroom and taking pictures of her. He claimed the pictures were sent to Ruff for display on Ruff's YouTube channel. Myers made it clear that he will handle the situation with the person the second he gets out of jail. He said he could take a plea deal at any time, and then the police and the feds would come after his targets. At one point pausing to say that he's won, and that he's defeated the Pima County government and implied that he had nothing left to prove. The jailed YouTuber also objected to the classification of those who follow his antics and support him as followers, as it had cult member connotations. He instead wanted these people to be known as his shareholders. Myers paused and reflected on his goal as a YouTuber. He said that his channel was more sophisticated than Ruff's, and that he intended to use his humor, irony, knowledge, and ability to break down complex legal events to his advantage. While Ruff's audience was a black hole of low-grade morons, his shareholders were on a higher level. Gray ended the broadcast after Myers hung up by asking for the shareholders to contact Myers in jail using inmate 202-0834 on the GTL Getting Out app. He also called for the same shareholders to put money on Myers' various accounts to allow him commissary access and continued use of the phone. Myers is expected back in court on Friday. The antics by Myers have skyrocketed his Give Send Go to the top of both our monthly and yearly charts. Myers took in $662 in new donations, putting him at $2,682 collected in donations for the month and $2,697 in donations for the year. Sean Paul Long Island Audits Reyes Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund came in second for the day with a $10 donation.
Journalism in Crisis. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, keeping the cats fed, and writing new stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, we do have a GoFundMe displayed on screen. As real American and true protector of the First Amendment, Lane Myers has made multiple threats to sue us in recent days. Portions of all donations may also go towards fighting any possible future lawsuits. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch our entire videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
Scammer. Floyd Wallace has more car trouble. In a familiar setting, Floyd Wallace returned to fundraising on Thursday as he claimed that he was stranded in Denton, Texas, as his car had broken down again and needed $250 in new repairs. Wallace was on his way from College Station, Texas, to Denton in order to pay money he still owed for probation charges from a guilty conviction for a traffic-related incident in Grayson County, Texas last year when he said his car started smoking. He claimed the estimate at a local repair shop was for $250 for a new water pump. He claimed all he needed from his audience was $100 as he had enough money to cover the rest of the charges. This brought out an immediate negative response from his side chat, with his fans reminding him that he had again promised not to fundraise as part of a deal for past donations. Wallace started to rally against that pledge on his Wednesday livestream, where he openly fundraised as a Tuesday personal loan campaign failed to generate enough money for him to travel from College Station, Texas, to his new home in Omaha, Nebraska. The convicted felon has claimed that he has a job waiting for him at a UPS distribution center in Omaha, despite not applying for the job as yet, and pledged his first paycheck to pay back double the amounts of the loans he took in. Thursday saw Wallace become further enraged with his side chat as they again painted him in his scammer, Floyd Wallace character. He rescinded his previous pledge not to ban anyone in his side chat for the next month, stating that he'd raise money to pay back the donations he received for making the deal. Wallace then went on a banning spree, banning anyone he disagreed with in chat, at one point silencing his side chat, as the few people who were left to chat were either too terrified to chat or had nothing to say to the enraged Wallace. The YouTuber eventually gave up on the chat as a new wave of negative chatters confronted him, and he ended the live stream, making it unclear if he actually raised the $100 he needed to repair his vehicle. Myers' media requests and anti-slap motion denied. YouTube viewers, please click the text-only link in the description of this video to access the original rulings discussed in this article. In a crushing blow to defendant Lane Myers, the anti-slap motion he filed to dismiss his multiple felony and misdemeanor charges out of Pima County, Arizona, was denied by Judge D. Douglas Metcalf on Wednesday. Myers had filed his anti-slap motion under Arizona's statute ARS Section 12-751, claiming that the state was retaliating against him for using his constitutional rights by bringing the charges against him. He contended that his posting of the personal information of his victim in the case, identified as SW in the court documents, on his YouTube channel was protected speech and cannot subject him to prosecution under Arizona's harassment statutes. Metcalf ruled, defendant has not met his initial burden of showing the indictment was substantially motivated by a desire to deter, retaliate against, or prevent the lawful exercise of a constitutional right. Rather, the indictment is directed at his harassment of SW, which is not constitutionally protected. Defendant is not being prosecuted for his protected speech discussing proceedings before the Tucson City Council, the City Court, the Justice Court, the City Prosecutor's Office, the County Attorney's Office, or any other governmental organization. As such, he is not entitled to relief under the Anti-SLAPP statute, ARS Section 12-751. The jailed YouTuber received more bad news as multiple media requests related to upcoming hearings were denied. Myers' motion to have a representative from his Phoenix Times news organization record Friday's hearing was denied by Judge Metcalf. Joey Payne, representing the organization, had wanted a video record the proceedings. Metcalf stated that since Pima County was already providing a live stream of the video, that stream would be sufficient coverage. Another media request from Mark Brown was denied. Brown was seeking to record Myers' case management conference set for April 15, 2025. Pima County will be providing a live stream of that as well. Brown's request to live stream a press conference in the hallway outside the courtroom on that date was also denied. This is a breaking news story.
Delete Laws faces second motion to dismiss. YouTube viewers, please note that the official court filings can be read by clicking the text-only link in the description of the video. With less than 4 days until his promised April launch of his much-anticipated Constitution Headquarters board game, Jose "Chili" DeCastro was still absent from YouTube as he had a judge rule he must respond to a second motion to dismiss his Nevada-based Ironton, Ohio federal lawsuit. For those new to the situation, Jose "Chili" DeCastro sued members of the Ironton, Ohio, police force, the city of Ironton and the county of Lawrence in Ohio after an incident where he was arrested for trespassing in the Ironton City Hall in 2022. The lawsuit lingered in federal court as DeCastro essentially refused to state a claim against the defendants, missed hearings and deadlines, and essentially did his best to delay the trial for as long as possible. He eventually lost a motion to dismiss in 2023, which he appealed, and in 2024 while the appeal was pending, he filed the same lawsuit in Nevada, stating that he had standing there as he was currently living there and the lawsuit was, in part, for his customers who lived in Nevada. DeCastro also filed the same lawsuit in Nevada State Court, but it went nowhere. This lawsuit, however, was hampered by the fact that DeCastro was incarcerated in Nevada a few days after he filed the suit and was unable to serve the defendants in the case. While he was incarcerated, the appeals court ruled against his appeal of the original case out of Ohio, and the case was dismissed. After his release, he was allowed an extension until October to serve the defendants. He failed to meet the extension's deadline. He was later apparently granted a new deadline to show proof of service until mid-March of 2025, which he filed in early March. The attorney representing the Lawrence County defendants had already filed a motion to dismiss earlier in the week, and DeCastro was ordered by the judge in the case to respond to that motion to dismiss within 2 weeks. On Wednesday, attorney Don M. Frick filed a motion to dismiss on behalf of defendants Evan McKnight, Pam Wagner, Brad Spaljaric, Chance Blankenship, Robert Fauch, City of Ironton, Ohio. While elements of the motion to dismiss are similar to the Lawrence County motion, a key takeaway in the filing is that the Ironton defendants are challenging service of the lawsuit. They contend that DeCastro only attempted service on the City of Ironton and the Ironton Police Force, which is not named in the suit. Frick wrote, thus, as to the individual Ironton defendants and pursuant to NRCP 4.2a, each should have received a copy of the summons and complaint personally, or at their dwelling or usual place of abode or by delivering a copy of the summons and complaint to an agent authorized by appointment or by law to receive service of process. As to the City of Ironton, the summons and complaint were required to be served to its Chief Executive Officer, Federal or .civ. P. 4, J. 2, A, or by serving the officer responsible for the administration of the office, department, agency, authority, institution, or unit, or by serving the city solicitor or comparable legal officer. Ohio R. Civ. P. 4.2, N. In this case, there has been insufficient service of process because none of the Ironton defendants have been served. Instead, service was made on Terry, Mayor's secretary, and Officer Corey Allison. Document 14 and 15. Plaintiff did not actually serve any of the Ironton defendants but merely left a copy of the summons and complaint with a secretary and another police officer, neither of whom are parties to this lawsuit. Due to the insufficient service, the court lacks personal jurisdiction over the Ironton defendants and plaintiff's claims must be dismissed. Butchers Union Local Number 498, 788 F.2d at 538. The Ironton defendants are also seeking a dismissal of the lawsuit or a transfer of the suit to the Southern District of Ohio. As with the previous motion to dismiss, Judge Daniel J. Albrechts ordered DeCastro to reply to the motion within 2 weeks of service. Things weren't all bad for DeCastro as spin-off and quasi-boy band group Chili's Angels, Thomas Letzo TVO Prowatsky and Matthew Brick Jonesy Jones, were joined by a third unidentified member in matching press hoodies for an appearance at Albuquerque, New Mexico's District 5 Police Precinct. The spin-off group were successful in not getting arrested as they filed Inspection of Public Records Act forms and talked to a police officer. While heated at times due to lack of air conditioning in the public lobby, and the officer being wary of the group's matching outfits, Chili's Angels came through with a rare victory in successfully negotiating the interaction without incident. We will continue to monitor the tour schedule of the spin-off group as they continue to achieve success where DeCastro has failed in the past.
Lane Myers threatens judge, prosecutor. An increasingly troubled Lane Myers took to live streaming 2 times on Thursday to provide his increasingly threatening reaction to Judge D. Douglas Metcalf's ruling against both his anti-SLAPP motion and his media requests. To say that Myers' reaction was bad would do a disservice to the word bad. Poorly also doesn't do it justice. Myers' mess of a reaction, perhaps aided by the staff of the Pima County Adult Detention Center's refusal to take away his ability to live stream while in jail, could be characterized as unhinged at best and complete lunacy for attention at worst. Myers and sidekick Josh Gray seemed starved for attention on the multiple live streams and bewildered by the lack of attention they're receiving from Myers' increasingly outrageous actions. Myers himself commented in one of his live streams that he was the talk of the town, but nobody in the press would touch his case. At the start of the day, Myers promised that Friday's hearing with Judge D. Douglas Metcalf would become ugly as all he planned to say to the judge was, "Information on a government website is not personal information." The line was made in response to Metcalf describing Myers knowingly distributing his victim's name and contact information by displaying that information on a government-run website, along with instructions to harass his victim. Myers claims innocence as the information could be found by anyone, and sharing public information itself is not a crime, and that since the woman is a public employee, she could be subjected to harassment as part of her job. He directly distributed Metcalf's phone number and ordered his shareholders to brigade Judge Metcalf with the same message. He instructed his fans to target others while on the live stream and indicated that the targeted harassment would only end when the subjects of the harassment either quit or removed their information from the website. Myers promised that he would roast Metcalf during the court hearing on Friday for being an idiot and a tyrant, and promised that security would have to drag him out of the courtroom. That live stream ended as Myers was informed that showers were available, and he opted to take a shower instead of continuing to rant. On Myers' second live stream of the day, where he called Gray, who then live streamed the call on Gray's "This is a Public Service" YouTube channel, things got far darker. Myers called out his fans to challenge Judge D. Douglas Metcalf's ruling that no one would be permitted to video record or stream Myers' Friday hearing. He said that only his true supporters would be willing to get arrested in his name Friday by doing so, but doubted that anyone, including his media representatives, would dare defy the judge's orders despite Myers' orders to do so. He made it clear that he expected his own followers to join him in jail for their actions and to be prosecuted for their belief in him and the First Amendment, as information on a government website is not personal information. Myers then threatened both Judge D. Douglas Metcalf and Prosecutor Rachel Stiles that they had until 5 p.m. local time on Friday, April 4th, 2025, to remove all charges against him or else face having to take the defense of their charges against him all the way to the Arizona State Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court. He promised that he would release all the phone calls he's had with federal prosecutors, the FBI, police officers, and anyone else he's been in contact with. Then he asserted that his wife was going to meet with the ASU Foundation, which is dedicated to free speech, and was willing to run his YouTube channel on his behalf while he was imprisoned. The jailed YouTuber laughed at the thought of how he would be in prison for years, but still run daily live streams from his tablet and have the ability to expose judicial corruption from behind bars. Myers dared Pima County prosecutors to file more charges against him, as he claimed more charges only meant that his message was reaching the people as the whole world was watching. He then ordered his fans to double up and triple their calls to Judge D. Douglas Metcalf, calling all hours of the day or night, to protest his decision to deny the anti-SLAPP motion. He said he needed to find a new lawyer who could appeal the anti-SLAPP motion denial, as Myers was unable to access the jail's law library or write the appeal himself. Myers pondered out loud that he could attract the involvement of members of the January 6th rioters, the QAnon shaman, and even President Donald Trump himself. Jumping to his belief that he'd be so popular at the end of the trial that he could easily run for president as again. The world was watching his every move. Gray's second broadcast has seen a little over 3,500 views by mid-morning on Friday. Myers himself raised $365 in new donations on his GiveSendGo account on Thursday. He was followed closely by our own GoFundMe campaign, which took in $325 for the day. Michael Blue Bacon Piratini's campaign to fight Jose Chili DeCastro's lawsuit took in a surprise $100, and Sean Paul Long Island Audit, Reyes Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign took in $10. The Lane Myers drama is set to continue with a hearing at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in front of Judge D. Douglas Metcalf this afternoon, with Myers promising that information on a government website is not personal information, will be the centerpiece of his defense. And we're back. Tonight, Jim and the gang are back with the final semi-final round of the worst frauditor in history bracket thingy. It's Josh Abrams versus James Freeman, with the winner going on to face Long Island Audit in the semifinals. The semifinals will be held in their entirety tomorrow night, so make your vote counts tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. With that, we're out of here.